watching First Coast News on your side.
Thank you for joining us tonight for First Coast News at 5:30. I'm Heather Crawford.
And I'm Jeannie Blaylock. Live coverage of the Vice President's visit to our First Coast continues in just a few minutes. But first, let's check in with Anthony Austin because he has our half-hour headlines. Anthony?
Jeannie and Heather, Jacksonville's Skyway is expected to get the biggest update and upgrade since it started rolling more than 30 years ago, including adding some new lines and track that would include expanding into Riverside, San Marco, North Jacksonville, and the sports complex, including a new connection to the South Bank. The estimated $379 million project is about 40% of the estimated revenue from a proposed increase in the local gas tax. The new plan would also convert the monorail track from autonomous vehicles, for autonomous vehicles, I should say. JTA says they were hoping to debut the project later this week, but more information is expected for official release in the coming days. The state senator behind a controversial bill to limit Florida's Bright Future Scholarship funds is rolling back his plan's most controversial measures. Ocala Republican Dennis Baxley says he will remove one measure to cut funding for students who choose allegedly unmarketable majors. Baxley says while his bill will keep the requirement that the state maintain a list of majors that do not directly lead to employment, students will not lose money if they pick one of those courses of study. There will be another community meeting tonight over possibly changing the name of Ribault High and Middle Schools. Ribault is one of 9 Duval County schools named after Confederate figures that are under review. Tonight's meeting is at 6 p.m. in the Ribault High School auditorium.
But it's good to be here, and of course you will see that part of the day is to emphasize a number of things, including, look, regardless of who somebody voted for in the last election, we're all in this together.
Vice President Kamala Harris just earlier this afternoon landing in Duval County for her first appearance on the First Coast since taking office in January. Now, today's visit came as she and President Joe Biden are on this massive push to promote the American Rescue Plan. That's the $1.9 trillion COVID relief package signed into law just this month. Kaylee Tracy's on your side live after shadowing the vice president for her trip to see the federally run vaccination site in Jacksonville at Gateway Mall. And Kaylee, we understand that Navy officers staffing the site gave her a tour. What else did she do there?
Well, Heather, we're told by the vice president's office that Vice President Harris also was able to see a high school English teacher get her shot out here at this site earlier this afternoon. Jacksonville City Councilman Tommy Hazuri was inside the site when the vice president got a tour here. He says the vice president met with the mayor, Congressman Al Lawson, and Agriculture Commissioner Nikki Freed. Hazuri says he and the mayor have been working together, and he thinks that both of them being here shows bipartisanship in fighting COVID, and that Harris appreciated that. Hazuri says Harris thanked everyone here, including local first responders, for all the hard work they've done fighting COVID-19.
She's heard about our fire department. She was bragging about them. The mayor, of course, explained everything that he was doing. I told him how well it was going, how well oiled it was. And it is. We just need to make sure that we get more and more. You tell one person, they'll tell another one that they got it, and so forth and so forth. And I think that's one of the reasons she's here. And we were excited to have her.
Now, coming up at 6, we talked to another woman who was inside the site getting her shot as well when the vice president was in there. What she says, that's coming up tonight at 6. For now, reporting live, Kaylee Tracy, First Coast News on your side.
Kaylee, thank you so much. Jacksonville Mayor Lenny Curry, a Republican, was on hand for part of the vice president's appearance here in Duval County this afternoon. We reached out to the party leadership for a reaction to Vice President Harris's trip, and that came in the form of this following statement. Quote, while Governor Ron DeSantis has led the way on COVID, Democrats in Washington spent $2 trillion to try to bail out blue states at the expense of Florida taxpayers. Now the vice president is here to do a PR campaign designed to drum up partisan support for their bailout. More Democrat overreach, increasing debt, or another authoritarian lockdown is not the solution. That statement, that exact quote, from the chairman of the Duval County Republican Party, Dean Black, today. Meanwhile, the vice president's deputy head of public engagement tweeted out this photo of the Republican mayor and Democratic city councilman Tommy Hazuri. They're staying there, as you see, side by side as they spoke with the vice president today, saying his tweet, quote, the fight against COVID-19 is bipartisan.
Florida's Department of Economic Opportunity says those of you getting pandemic emergency unemployment compensation should start seeing extra weeks in the Connect system. The American Rescue Plan adds another 29 weeks of PEUC federal funds for those out of work. Now, it's not just the unemployed facing issues with Florida's dysfunction. Now, some people who have jobs say that they're actually getting checks from the state and they can't get a hold of anyone to try and straighten this all out. On Your Side's Jocelyn Howard took those concerns straight to the Department of Economic Opportunity, and she has more for us.
It was this story that prompted many people to reach out for help. Floridians with jobs are receiving random unemployment checks in the mail. Is it a glitch? Is it fraud? They can't get answers.
I'd never even heard of this before, right? It's called the Department of Economic Opportunity Reemployment Assistance.
This is the reaction many Floridians like Edward Scrod had when finding this in their mailbox.
It made me think that maybe someone was spoofing my name.
Pete Askew with ID.me, the company that provides claimant identity verification for DEO, says those receiving these checks should be on guard.
A lot of legitimate men and women are getting checks that they did not apply because their identity has been stolen.
Askew says you should alert law enforcement and DEO right away.
It is the largest cyber attack on our nation's history when it comes to fraud.
For Larry DeVille,
it appears that there had been some fraud.
He isn't only concerned about his identity being stolen,
it's money out of my pocket,
but receiving his unemployment benefits after losing his job.
I'm out 5 to 7 weeks of unemployment.
DeVille says he couldn't access his account after someone created a claim in his name. 9 months later, DeVille says DEO has yet to update him on the fraudulent claim.
You report it and it goes into a big, deep black hole.
The department has made an online fraud form for anyone with suspicions of identity theft. You can find that link on our website, firstcoastnews.com. I'm Jocelyn Howard, First Coast News, on your side.
And Jocelyn is staying on top of all of this for us. Remember, we are here for you. We're always on your side. You can find help with our Navigating Florida's Unemployment Maze Facebook group. Join the group and join the discussion as we help you handle the ins and outs of dealing with the unemployment maze. And for any other pandemic problems, we're here for you. You can drop us a line at onyourside@firstcoastnews.com. Well, coming up, the pandemic has upended just about everything in our lives, it seems.
And it's also affecting our bodies. After the break, how one study found a year inside is impacting just about everything in us from head to toe.
But first, America's fighting women have had to push for recognition. Now it's easier to give these ladies in uniform the credit they've earned. We'll take a closer look after the break.
And there's a change in the clouds. That's a sure sign of a change in the weather. We'll take a close look day by day in just a few moments.
Well, for years, women veterans of World War II pushed for a memorial to honor the military contributions of America's women. That dream became a reality when the Women in Military Service for America Memorial opened near Arlington National Cemetery back in 1997. Well, it turns out that is an ongoing project, and now it's going virtual. Anthony Austin has a closer look.
The Military Women's Memorial wants to record the stories of every woman who served or continues to serve our country. They need your help locating them and getting their stories documented. I spoke with one Jacksonville veteran who is making sure those stories are never forgotten.
I still remember that first time I put on a uniform and realized what it meant to have the U.S. Army over my heart and my name on the other side.
Tiffany Daugherty began her military career as an Army air traffic controller serving the United States and Republic of Korea.
The biggest moment of that time abroad was 9/11 happened while I was serving in Korea. And I stopped what I was doing in my day job and went and helped the Special Reaction Team search for bombs under our U.S. housing units in Korea.
Daugherty now lives here in the Jacksonville area, working for a major bank as the head of Military and Veterans Outreach. As a veteran who's also a woman, she realizes she has an important story to tell. Daugherty says her own daughter didn't know all the details of her service to our country.
When she was 11, she came to me and she said, "Mom, I think I want to serve in the military." And I said, "That's great, babe. Tell me more about that." She said, "Well, not like you did, like Daddy did." And I realized I was so proud of her. I realized there were a few things that we hadn't talked about. One was my story of service.
That's why she's speaking on behalf of the Military Women's Memorial. Unlike the trailblazers who came before them, military women now jump out of planes, command tanks, fly helicopters, and lead their male counterparts into battle.
We want to memorialize that so that generations to come can read about that and understand the ceilings that they broke and the contribution that they made.
I'm told the process is simple and free of charge. Women can log on to the Military Women's Memorial website and share their basic information like branch of service, location, when they served, or write their own story in detail. Family members can also register military women who have passed away. I've posted all of this information on our website and in the First Coast News app. Remember, if you have a story of service to share, just email us at storiesofservice@firstcoastnews.com. Once again, that's storiesofservice@firstcoastnews.com.
All right, thank you very much. We need to get to some breaking news right now. This is out of Colorado. We want to take you to a live shot right now. You see an ambulance. Police are investigating an active shooter at a grocery store. We understand there is a large police presence. You can't see that in this right now, but you can imagine how many police are flooded to this area in Colorado. Police responded to reports of a person shot in the parking lot, but then apparently the suspect opened fire on police, and there are reports of injuries. Details are still limited, but this is in Colorado. Active shooter. We'll get more information to you as soon as we can. Well, have you put on the pandemic pounds? Listen, folks, don't worry if you say, yeah, you have, because a ton of people have too. Researchers from the University of California at San Francisco found that participants in their study gained an average of 1.5 pounds every single month during the pandemic from February to June of last year. And that was regardless of where they lived or any kind of other health conditions they had. But, you know, you're sitting around a lot and was that a blueberry muffin with butter at the beginning of that? Looked good. Well, if you are itching to travel, you're not alone.
Yeah, but I'm sure you want to do it safely. So how can you do that? Well, the CDC still recommends that you avoid travel. And the pandemic, we know, has hit the travel industry really hard. Florida, as we've seen from this spring break, huge crowds, madness in Miami is a big destination. And so if you're looking to leave, travel experts say you'll want to check requirements in the destination where you're headed before you go.
Make sure that you're getting on those tourism websites and understanding exactly what is going to be required of you before you book your trip.
Advice for you: research cancellation policies for airlines, hotels, and attractions. Also, you may want to consider getting trip insurance in case someone suddenly gets sick.
A new study is shedding light on why children tend to have more mild symptoms of COVID-19. Researchers from our Weill Cornell Medical College analyzed COVID antibody tests from more than 31,000 kids and found the younger the person was, the greater their antibody level. Experts say the younger you are, the stronger the immune system, which means a less chance of having a severe case of the virus.
Well, there are some political fights brewing in Georgia as two powerful Republicans face challenges from within their own party ahead of next year's elections. U.S. Congressman Jody Hice says that he will challenge Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger if Raffensperger runs for re-election next year. Former President Donald Trump endorsed Hice today. Mr. Trump has blamed Raffensperger and Governor Brian Kemp for his loss of the Peach State last November. Kemp is also up for re-election in 2022. No Republican challenger, though, has appeared yet. And Georgia was among several states with Republican legislatures moving to pass new limits on early voting hours and vote by mail after last year's election. Now the Atlanta Journal-Constitution reports some of the strictest parts of the proposals there could be rolled back. The newspaper quoted Georgia Senate leaders as saying that they will not pass a bill to end no-excuse absentee voting. That final bill is also expected to expand early voting on weekends.
And looking across Florida, a similar bill working its way through Tallahassee could soon be up for a vote. Among other things, Senate Bill 90 prohibits voters from returning vote-by-mail ballots to drop boxes at those early voting sites. Instead, you would have to return it by mail or go in person to your county supervisor's office. It also would require voters to file new requests for mail-in ballots once it takes effect. A proposal to limit the potency of medical marijuana also moved ahead last week. That bill would cap the smokable form of marijuana at 10% THC. THC is the chemical compound that users smoke and get high. Opponents say the bill will hurt patients, forcing them to buy more of the drug to get the same side effect.
Well, let's take a live look now at 121 Financial Ballpark, where the first pitch is scheduled to happen in just a few minutes at 6 o'clock tonight in the Jax Diamond Classic. As Ed Waters faces off against Savannah State, tickets are $7. The question, though, is will the weather cooperate? Tim Deegan has Jacksonville's most accurate forecast. Tim?
Thank you, Heather. Well, we got a nice live observation there. Did you notice the clouds were breaking up? Speaking of the clouds, wow, this is from Faith. This is from Chloe, and this is from Aaron, I believe. Yeah, from Aaron. Thanks, Aaron, Chloe, and Faith. They invited me up to Long Branch Elementary on Saturday morning, and we talked about clouds, and I shared with them that I used to draw clouds when I was 7 years old, and they said, well, we have some clouds that we've drawn. And if you think back, folks, to Friday, it was before the nor'easter hit, this is pretty much how the sky looked. And I would have said some cumulus clouds without vertical development looking kind of like cotton balls strung together, which is exactly, I think, what they did. Thank y'all. We also talked about reading and the magic thereof. And they shared that magic with me, and I do appreciate that. So visually, this is what we saw, not only from our meteorological artist there at Long Branch Elementary, but also at the baseball field. And again, the clouds are breaking up. You've been locked inside all day today. For many of us, the skies have gotten much brighter as we finish up the day. And even if you don't care about the skies and your only concern being the precipitation, there are showers, but notice where they are. The showers are offshore. They're dropping more south than west. So that's why I say that maybe, just maybe, there might be a sprinkle down around Matanzas Inlet. But for the rest of us, we will have a dry evening. Now, the winds continue gusty, no doubt about it. In fact, even over inland areas over the last hour, we've gotten some gusts of 30 miles per hour. For the first time since Friday, the windiest is not actually at around the beaches. In fact, this is the first time a lot of the beach sites have seen gusts drop below 25 miles per hour. So no doubt about it, it's going to be a breezy / gusty night. But relative to what it was like over the weekend, the winds have diminished and they will continue to diminish. I think this computer model does a pretty good job. That is, it continues to show swirls developing along the Gulf Stream. That's where the waters are warmer, and occasionally patches of clouds coming out of the northeast. But overall, the pattern that we saw today, not as windy, a little more sun, will continue tomorrow. Not as windy, a little more sun. Now, I don't want to mislead you. If all you have is a bass boat or a canoe to get out there in, be careful. It's going to be choppy, but the northeast winds that were gale force over the weekend dropped down to 20 to 25 today. Tomorrow they'll go from 20 to 15. Surf temperatures at 60 degrees, but it's going to start to rise, and I'll show you why. Back over land tomorrow. Less wind, more sun. Morning temperatures pretty seasonable. Afternoon high pretty much where it should be this time of the year, back up to 74 degrees. But that's just the beginning, folks. Wednesday, tranquil. Just a light breeze during the afternoon. Lows in the 50s, light easterly breeze, sunny to partly cloudy skies, and 80 degrees as all of that, what we call the isobaric squeeze along the coast, decreases. Major storm system, not for us. Major storm system again out over the Rockies and Texas, headed up towards Chicago. Unfortunately, we're going to hear about snow on the cold side and a tornadic outbreak on its east side, but this is not going to rush our way. So check it out. This is Wednesday, and we're going to go from Wednesday through Thursday through Friday. Continuous storms forming around Texas and headed up the Mississippi Valley, producing a lot of thunderstorms to our west. On Thursday night, they're going to be close to you folks up around Waycross, so we'll keep a close watch on that. But all the while, we're going to be on the warm side. Winds will be increasing out of the south. And, well, you can probably imagine what's going to happen to the temperature. So by Thursday, we'll be in the middle 80s. And again, and notice I have 40% here. That's primarily for after the sun sets Thursday night. And primarily, I think, for those of you west and northwest of the Okefenokee. I think for the rest of us, we'll be quiet and dry through Thursday as well. Then comes Friday. Upper 80s to near 90, and on Saturday we may make it to 90 degrees, holding in the 80s on Sunday. And actually, if you're wondering about when I think is our next widespread chance of thunderstorms, that would be later on Sunday and then cooling down Monday.
Thank you, Tim. We want to take you out to Jacksonville International Airport. We have our camera right there on the tarmac. Vice President Kamala Harris has been in Duval County touring Jacksonville today, first at a vaccination site, then at Feeding Northeast Florida. Her motorcade, you see right there, is taking her to Air Force Two, where any moment now she's expected to prepare to board Air Force Two as she makes her way out of Jacksonville after spending several hours here today. So we're going to keep monitoring this shot for you. You can continue to watch it live on firstcoastnews.com and also the First Coast News app. We'll have a full recap of her tour of Jacksonville coming up on First Coast News at 6. Oh, we're going to stick with it. And there she is, Vice President Kamala Harris. Her first stop in Jacksonville since being sworn into office. She spent about 5 or 6 hours here in Jacksonville today, and now she's making her way up the steps onto Air Force Two. She was here as part of the administration's efforts to promote the American Rescue Plan. That's the $1.9 trillion relief package that was signed into law just this month. She is on Air Force Two now, and she is getting ready to leave the River City. We're going to continue to monitor this, and we will have a full recap of her visit coming up on First Coast News at 6. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.